All right, folks, welcome back. In this section, we're going to be looking at how to add and subtract fractions that have different rather than the same denominators. So in the last section, we looked at how to add fractions with the same denominator. And that's very easy because all you're doing is just adding or subtracting and the denominator remains the same. But in cases where that's not the case, here is the rule, okay? So I'm going to write this down on top here just for memory's purposes so that it lingers right on top of our blackboard and you can look at it as we do some practice questions. So when the denominators are not the same, you have to rewrite the fractions. What do you have to do? You have to rewrite the fractions so that they do have the same denominator. Okay, so this is what we have to do. Denominator. So why is that? Because once we have the same denominator, we do exactly what we did before. We just add them together. It's easy peasy. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So there is a technique for doing this, or for making two fractions denominators the same when they're not the same. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, let's see. So we got, let's say for example, we got let's say we have 1 over 2 plus, let's say 3 over 7, okay? 1 over 2 divided by 3 over 7. So what do? We can see that this and this are not the same, so we cannot do 1 plus 3 because that would be incorrect, okay? So what can we do? We can make these two same, okay? So the way to do that, it's there's a method that's very, very helpful. It's finding the least common multiple, okay? What's the number that both of them can be multiplied with that is common between them? So what that means is if I start listing out the multiples of 2, so what are the multiples of 2? 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 5 is 10, 2 times 6 is 12, 2 times 7 is 14, and on, right? This is the table of 2. So what about 7? Well, 7 times 1 is 7, 7 times 2 is 14, 7 times 3 is 21, 7 times 4 is 28, 7 times 5 is 35, and on, right? On. So is there any common numbers between these? Well, right now from the ones I've written down, the only common one is 14. The only common one is 14. As you can see, 14 here, 14 here, right? And the thing is, this is also the least common multiple because there's nothing else that's common between them. So if that's the case, then 14 is our common multiple. So what we do is, in that case, is we just make our new denominator 14, okay? We make our new denominator 14. Now that the new denominator is 14, what do? We still cannot just write 1 plus 3, right? We still have one more step to do after this, and which is we take 14 and we figure out what is it that 14 is a multiple of 2 for. In other words, what is 14 divided by 2? 14 divided by 2 is 7, right? 2 times 7 is 14. And what about 7? Well, 7 times 2 is 4. 7 times 2 is 14, right? So what we have here is that 7 times 2 is 14, and 2 times 7 is 14, right? So what we do is we take this 7 and then we multiply it with this 1, okay? And then we take this 2 and we multiply it with this 3. I know there's a couple of steps. It might get confusing, but we'll do lots of examples and you're going to get some opportunity to practice, so it's all going to become clear. So 7 times 1 is 7. There is a different way to do it, which is easier, but it will actually, this method in the long run will help you out a lot in terms of algebra and stuff like that, okay? So basically what we have now, sorry about that. So what we have now is 7 times divided by 14, and what we're going to do is divide 14 by 2, so 2 times 1 is 7 times 2. Okay, so 7 times 1 is 7, and this plus, so plus 2 times 3 is 6. So 6 plus 7 is 13. So our answer is 13 over 14. Okay? So let's do a few more questions so it becomes clear. So all we did was found the common multiple between these two, put that as our denominator, and then figured out how many times does this old denominator went on 14, and then how many times this second old denominator went on 14. And we used those numbers, the 7 and the 2. We multiplied the 7 with its numerator, multiplied the 2 with its numerator, and we got 7 over 6 divided by 14, which is 13 over 14. All right, so let's do a few more examples, and it's become very, very, very clear for you very shortly. Okay, so let's say we have 8 over 15 minus 1 over 2. So what do? Well, we have to find the least common multiple. So if you write down 2, the table of 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times. So let's write down like this. So we have 2, we have 5. So let's write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 2 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 5 is 10, 10 is 12, right? And then 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, 5 times 2 is 20, 25, right? And here, so far we have not really anything in common, right? 6, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 5, 10. Oh, we got 10 in common, right? We got 10 in common. Sorry, this is 8 over 15. So sorry, this is 15, so this is wrong. This is not the table for 5, this is the table for 15. So 5 times 1 is 15, 5 times 2 is 30, 30, 45, 60, 65, okay? Whereas 2, now there's nothing common. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, nothing common, 15, 30. However, if we keep going on the table for 2, we know that 2 times 15 is actually 30. So 15, so 15, 2 times 15 is 30. So 30 is the common here, 30 is the common here, and so we got 30 is our new denominator. And then we're going to see how many times does 15 go on 30? Well, it goes 2 times, right? 15 to 30. And so we multiply this 2 with this 8. And how many times does 2 go on 30? 15 times, so 30. So 2 to 15, 30 with a remainder of 0. So this 15 multiplies with this one. So 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 2 is 16, right? Minus 1 times 15 is 15. So our answer is 1 over 30. Okay, so this is still confusing. We're going to do a few more questions. It's going to become a lot easier. I'm going to also show you a little trick for finding the common multiples. All right, so just almost there. Okay, let's take one more example. So let's take 5 over 6 minus 1 over 5. So we can find the common multiple between these two. So here's the easy way to do it. Let's write down 6 and write down 5. Now let's do 2 times 3 is 6. And 2 doesn't go on 5, so we can just bring the 5 down like that. 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 doesn't go on 5, so we just bring the 5 down like that. And then we write 5 times 1 doesn't go on 5, so we just bring the 1 down like that. And then 5 times 1 is 1, and then 1 times 1 and 1, right? 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1. So this, if we multiply these numbers, we'll find our least common multiple. 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 3 is 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 5 is 30. So 30, right? We know the denominator. Well, all we did was we just looked at what we did last time. It's like if you have 6 and we have 5 and we wrote out all its multiples. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18, 6 times 4 is 24, 6 times 5 is 30, 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10, 5 times 3 is 15, 20, 5 times 5 is 25, and 6 6 are 36, and 5 6 are 30, right? And so the common multiple, least common multiple, is 30. Nothing else here that they have in common, right? Except for 30. So we have 30 down here. Now we have to see how many times does 6 go on 30. So 6 goes on 30 5 times, right? 30, 6, 5 times 5 is 30. So we're going to take this 5 and we're going to multiply it with this 5, okay? Which will give us 5 times 5 is 25 minus 5. How many times does 5 go on 30? Well, 6 times. 5 times 6 is 30. And so this 6 will be multiplied with this 5. So these two will be multiplied. 6 5s are 30, right? And so the answer would be 25 minus 30 is going to be minus 5. It will take the, 6 times, not 5, that's wrong. 5, this is 5. 6 times 1. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 1 is 6. So we get 25 minus 6 is equal to 19 over 30. Okay, so don't worry, we're going to do a few more questions. It's going to become more and more obvious as we do more questions, okay? Just a matter of practice. And you're only going to see it if you do it by yourself. So 1 over 3 plus 7 over 8, right? 3 and 8. So we can write the multiples of 3 and 8. There's 3, there's 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 6 is 18, right? 3 times 7 is 21, 3 times 8 is 24. And what about 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 3 is 24. Boom, we found the common multiple, 24, okay? So 24 is going to be our down here, right? We could have also found it using this technique. We write 3 here, we write 8 here. 3 times 1 is 3. 8 doesn't go on 3, so it just comes down. 1 just comes down. And 8 times 1 is 1. So 8 times 3 is 24. Okay? So now we'll have to figure out how many times does 3 go on 24. 8 times. 24, 3, 8, 24. Remainder is 0. So this 8 goes and multiplies it with this. So 8 times 1 is 8 plus 8. How many times does 24 go on 8? 24 divided by 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Nil. So what is this 3? This 3 gets multiplied with this. 7 times 3 is 21. So we got 21 plus 8, which is 29. And this is our denominator. So 29 divided by 24. That is our answer. Okay? We're going to do some more questions, and it will become more clear as we do more questions. All right? All right, so let's keep going here, and we're going to look at some more these problems where we got challenges where we got different denominators and not the same denominators. When the denominators are same, we pretty much just add things, but when they're not, we end up first making the denominators the same. And the way for doing that is we have to find the least common multiple between the two, which really just means we have list out the multiples, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so the multiple, and then this is 2, this is 14. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 4, 2 times 2 is 4. 6, 8, 10, 12. 2 times 7 is 14. 14 times 1 is 14. Already we got a common multiple here and here, right? So we got 14 as the common multiple. Now, how many times does 14 go on 14? Obviously 1. So 14 times 1 is 14. We can just check it here. 14 times 1 is 14. And then all we have to do is just multiply this 1 with this 3. So 1 times 3 is 3. Plus, how many times does 2 go on 14? 7. So 10 times 1 is 7. Right? We can check it here. 14. 2 times 7 is 14. And this 7 just gets multiplied here. And we got 1 times 7. So 7 plus 3, 10. 10 over 14. We can even reduce this by dividing both the denominator and the denominator by 2. So 2 times 5 2 times 7. So our final answer, reduced form, would be 5 over 7. Okay. So one thing we notice here that this technique of listing out all the multiples is actually kind of long, especially when, you know, here we have to write till the 7 times. We can do this a little differently. So if I had 2 and 14 written here, right, what I can do is I can first look for some common factor or divisor. Now 2, if I can find something that both of them are divided by, that's good. If not, that's fine as well. 2 is divided by 1 is 2, and 2 multiplied by 7 is 14. So 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 7 is 14. Now 1 is fine, then 1 can just come down here because 7 does not divide 1, but 7 times 1 is 7, and then you got 1 times 1, and then 1 times 7 is 7, and 7 times 2 is 14, which is our least common multiple. Okay, so let's do a few more exercises like this. So, and here we'll this time we'll just take out the multiple using this technique. Okay, so like that. And this we can just let's make our, there you go. So let's do this now. So let's say we have another number. We have another fraction, 3 over 4, and that's being added to plus 11 over 18. Now we can't just add 3 plus 11 because 4 and 18 are not the same denominators, or different denominators. So first we have to make these the same. So what we have to do is write 4 and 18 here. Now we know that 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 9 does not go fully on 2, so we'll just bring the 9 down like this. Now we know that 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 9 is 9, right? That doesn't really help us, so we'll have to go for 9. So 9, 1 and 9 don't get to, so the 1 will just come down, 1. 9 times 1 is 9. Now we can multiply this. 9 times 1, 9, 9 times 2, 18, 18 times 2, 36. So 36 is going to be on our denominator. All we have to see now is how many times does 4 go on 36? Well, it goes 9 times. 36, 4 times 9 is 36, right? So 9 times 3, 9 is 27, plus 36 divided by 18. So how many times 18 go on 36? 2 times. So 36, 18, 2 times 2 is 36. So this 2 will be multiplied with this. So 11 times 2, 11 times 2 is 22. And 22 plus 27 is 49. So 49 over 36. That's our answer. Maybe we can still reduce it. Maybe we can reduce it. Maybe we can't. Yeah, 13. Maybe. Don't know. Anyways, so this is how we do the addition subtraction for numbers with different denominators. The first step is just finding a common multiple, but making sure it's the least common multiple for both, okay? So we do that. Now let's do a couple more. So let's say 2 over 3 minus 5 over 12, okay? So this is again 3 and 12, right? So 3 and 12. So 3 and 12. So what do we do here? We'll find some one common factor. So 3 is times 1. 3 times 4 is 12. And then 4 times 1 will just come down as 1, because that does not go on 4. And 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. So our common denominator is going to be 12. Now how many times does 3 go on 12? 4 times. And then 4 times 2 is 8. Right? Minus 12 goes 1 time. So 1 times 5 is 5. So the answer is 3 over 12, which reduces to 3 times 1 and 3 times 4. 3 goes once on 3 and 4 times on 4, so it's 1 over 4. How did I get this 8 and 5? Again, I got the 12 from here. 3 times 4 is 12. Like I looked at the common multiples, right? And if we were to list all the multiples, we'll find that 12 is the smallest common multiple between 3 and 12, right? So let's look at this. So what I did was I saw how many times does 3 go on 12, right? So 12 goes on 3 4 times. And I took this 4 and I multiplied it to this 2, so 4 times 2, and I got this 8. Then I looked how many times does 12 go on 12, so 12 times 1 is 12, so it just took this one and multiplied it with this 5. 5 times 1 is 5, that's how I got 8 minus 5, 8 minus 5 is 3, and we got 3 over 12, and then I just simplified or reduced 3 over 12 and to get 1 over 4, okay? If you're confused about reducing numbers, just go to the video on reducing fractions. Okay, so this is how we do it. We'll do one more question before we go to the next topic. Just for practice sake, all right? All right, so one more. Let's say 1 over 8 plus 1 over 2. So it's very easy. We'll find the common multiple, 8 and 2. So 2 times 4, and 2 times 1 is 2. 4 times 1 is 4, and 1 will just come down as it is. 4 times 2 is 8. And why is this the case? Because if you write out the multiples of 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You write out the multiples of 2. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 times 5 is 10. Whereas when we look at 8, 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. And 8 times 5 is 40. Now, the common multiple is 8 here and 8 here. And that's also the least common multiple. There's nothing else less than 8 that's common between the multiples of 2 and 8, right? So that's why 8 becomes our denominator. And now we have to just check out how many times does this denominator go on this 8. So 8 times 1 is 8. And we'll just use this 1 and multiply it by 1. So 1 times 1 is 1. Plus, how many times does this 2 go on 8? 2 times 4 is 8. And then 4 times 1 is 4. So our answer is 5 over 8. So boom, that takes care of adding and subtracting numbers with different denominators. Okay? All right, well, thank you so much for watching. All right, so thank you so much for watching. This is how we calculate, and that is how do we add and subtract fractions. In this section, we saw how to add and subtract fractions. We have to find the least common multiple between these two, write that as the new denominator, and then see how many times does the first denominator go on the second number, how many times the second go on the second number on the new denominator, and then multiply those quotients, one here with this upper number and the quotient here with this upper number, and boom, then we just do this, whatever operation is listed here in 1 plus 4, okay? The idea for three fractions is pretty much the same. It's no different than that. So if we had, let's look at an example. Let's say we have 11 over 12 minus 5 over 18 plus 2 over 6, okay? So we have 3 different denominators. So we can't just add 11 and 5 and 2. We have to first make a similar denominator. Choose a number that all of these as a multiple. So let's look here. Let's write 12, 18, and 6. Now we know that 12 is divisible by 2, and 18 is divisible by 2, and 6 is divisible by 2 because they're all even. So 2 times 6, 2 times 9, and 2 times 3. The next, we can just try 3. 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 1 is 3. And then 2 times 1, and 3 doesn't go on 2, so it will just come down as it is. And then 1, and 1 times 1, 1 times 3, and 1 times 1, okay? So we got 1 times 2, 2 times 3, 6, 6 times 2, 12. So 2 times 3, 6, 6 2 times 12, and, well, we still have 3 left here, sorry. So 3 times, well, 1 will just come down as 1, 3 times 1 is 3, and 1 will just come down as 1. So 3 times 3, 3, 3 times 2, 6, 6 times 3, 8. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 6 times 3 is 18, 18 times 2 is 36. So 36 will be the least common multiple between 12, 18, and 6. You can check it also if you were to write all their multiples down, which is a long process. You don't have to do that. can trust this process. Now we can just see how many times does 12 go on 36. It should go on completely. So 12 goes 3 times 36, right? You can check here on the calculator. 36 divided by 12 is 3, right? So 3, well, we can't write the 3. We have to use this quotient and multiply it with this upper number. So 3 times 11 is 33, minus, now we have to see how many times does 36 go on 18. So 36 goes on 18 twice, so 18 multiplied by 2 is 36. So then multiply this quotient with this number, so we get 2 times 5, which is 10, plus we take 36 and see how many times does this 6 go on this 36. So it goes 6 times, so 6 multiplied by 6 is 36. And so all we have to do is how many multiply this quotient with this 2. So 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, so 33 minus 10, 23 plus 12. 33 minus the 23 plus 12, 35, right? So 23 plus 10, 33 plus 2, 20, yeah. So the answer would be 35 divided by 36. So that would be your answer. So even when we're adding or subtracting, whatever, more than 2 fractions, the idea is the same. You have to get a common denominator, and then we can basically add or subtract them. And to get the common denominator, we find the least common multiple. We list that as the new denominator, and then we see how many times the old denominators go on the new denominator, and whatever quotient we have up here, we multiply it each with its respective numerator. All right, so with some practice, you're going to be a master of this in no time. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.